I just don't think we should be making money oriented decisions. I just think it's too hard to do it for money. I think passion really has to be the driver there.
Easy Way. If you're spending hours cleaning screens, that is a thing of the past with Easy Way screen printing and screen cleaning chemicals. Their innovative formulas are designed to work quickly and effectively, so you can spend less time cleaning and more time creating. Plus, Easy Way is passionate about empowering printers of all skill levels. They have tons of resources and expert advice to help you succeed in running your shop.
Bruce, do you need a solution to improve efficiency and reduce costs in your art department? If you go to 1-900hotstuff.com, you're going to find Graphic Source. Graphic Source offers industry-leading outsource options for your shop by truly becoming a part of your team. They plug and play with Printavo and other shop management software. And when it comes to SEPs, mockups, creative art, order management, digitizing, back office admin, and customer service, there's no better company in our industry to work with. At Campus Inc., we have 5 full-time Graphexers, and they help keep Campus Inc. running. You can hit them up, graphicsource.com. Use Printavo Pod 24 to get 50% off your first vector, SEP, or embroidery order. Thanks so much, Graphic Source.
Dude, you have a great backlight behind you, by the way. I'm going to send you a screenshot. You got to record from the holiday and more. Supercolor is the world's best heat transfer. It's made for screen printers, by screen printers. They understand the pressures and expectations of running a screen printing business. That's why they pride themselves on being super fast and super easy. Rum and the team are awesome. Always fun to see them and just spend time together. Not only that, their support team though is incredible. So super fast email. They're a great partner. If there's an issue, I mean, they're shipping stuff overnight back to help you run your business. Supercolor helps you guys make it. Mention or use that code Printavo15. That gets you 15% off your order.
Sweet. Bruce, have you heard of multicraft_daddy? If you go to Instagram right now, open it up and type in multicraft_daddy, give him a follow and a like. Actually, shoot him a DM because he's giving away a free case of PMI tape per episode. If you need ink supplies or a daddy, Multicraft Screen Printing and Digital Supplies for over 50 years has been providing you with top brands at competitive prices. Mention the Printavo podcast. You'll receive an extra 10% off your first order. Dave Eggers and the team at Multicraft, we appreciate everything you do for us. And thanks so much for sponsoring the pod.
All right, let's jump on in. How have you been?
I've been really good, man.
Really? Why?
Just had a kiddo 3 months ago.
Oh, congrats.
Our first kiddo.
Wow.
And, no one told me how hard it was going to be, but also how beautiful it was going to be.
Uh-huh. You'd like to know both sides of the coin.
Golly, man. It has been just so beautiful.
That's awesome. Congratulations. You're still in Fort Worth area, right?
Yes.
Nice. What was interesting was I had gotten word, I don't know how this came out, but of you selling Trust Printshop or stepping aside. I don't know exactly how it works, but, from us just getting to know each other a little bit over the years, you've ran I'd like to say a pretty deliberate shop at Trust in that, we've got the shop tour, which people can watch down below, but it's just like so meticulous. I feel like you really think about everything in detail. And so, I guess I was like, oh, wow. I mean, this is his baby, obviously. But hearing that news, I was surprised and I guess maybe not surprised. So there's a lot to unpack there. So I guess first, I'm curious as to, we've had a couple exit related episodes, but I'm really curious as to your story and then over the last maybe 2 years and then getting to this point and your thought process of wanting to go down this path. So maybe like 2 years ago, it's like, or like when did the thoughts first cross your mind of like, I guess I don't want to run this full time anymore?
Golly, I think that the brain part of that was much slower than the body part of that. Um, I think just to go back, and then I appreciate the compliment of really like thinking through the details. That's what I love to do. I love to think through the details and push things as far as they can go. And I think that that's really how I got the company off the ground and grew the company the first 10 years. And then to answer your question, I think that's how the exit kind of came about too. The second 10 years.
Yeah, 20 years. You started in 2004?
Yeah, I wanted to still focus on the details, but, the company was at a size 30 people, 500 customers, 4 million in annual sales, that I didn't get to do the things that I wanted to do anymore. I was just I was just dealing in problems and putting out fires. And so I had the feeling, in hindsight, I can really, see it and speak to it. I had the feelings of being ready to exit. But my brain didn't know it. I didn't know what to do about it. I thought, maybe I was wrong, or my leadership team was wrong, or we needed to switch from Slack to Basecamp, or, something external. But really, I think I was burned out years before I realized it.
Interesting. So yeah, you started 2004. Was it in Fort Worth originally, or did you move to Fort Worth?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just outside of it. I grew up in a small town, Mansfield, which is now a big town. And then, just rented warehouse space there. And then moved to Fort Worth in 2015.
Was there a certain niche that you guys started in, or was it taking everything that you found, or, was it from music or from schools, or?
Yeah, solely from music. That's what got me into screen printing. Was I played in a rock band from the age 12. We were playing shows and selling T-shirts at shows and getting other people to print our shirts. I think Brett Bowden printed our shirts early on. Yeah. And the idea just kind of hit me. I think I could do this. Not really knowing why, and not really wanting to all that much. Just the thought that I could do this just kind of hit me. Printed shirts for my band, printed shirts for our friends' bands. And so that's how it really started, was printing tour merch for rock bands traveling around the country.
And then Brett, I'm sure, was like, damn, someone else starting up a shop.
Well, I mean, this was a long time ago, but Brett stopped printing shirts. I don't really know the details about it, but he stopped printing shirts for some bit of time. And, he should be the one telling that part of the story. But I started when he stopped. And then after him printing shirts for my band, the next time I saw him, he was installing internet, like commercially. He was an internet installer or something like that. And he was dressed in his internet installer outfit, and he came to my shop. And then we just, that was kind of the beginning of him getting back into it. And the rest is history.
What was those first few years, I feel like, are some of the fun times running a business, getting it off the ground. I mean, it's stressful too, but I think because you have no expectations, you're just toiling away. Like, you haven't seen, the ups and the downs and the swings, and you don't have payroll and all this other stuff, really. Do you remember a highlight that sticks out from those early days?
Golly, so many. I really loved learning what having employees should be like. I thought that I had to buy everybody's lunch.
That's a nice perk.
And when it's just, one or two or three other people, like that's fine. But I remember when, we started growing and had a team of like 6 or so, I had to tell everybody that, hey, we can't buy everybody's lunch anymore.
What kind of lunch we're talking? Sushi,
Taco
pizza?
Bell, usually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Nothing crazy. But yeah, we used to have a lot of fun, a lot of inappropriate stuff, that we wouldn't do now,
Yeah.
that we could have gotten in trouble for.
I remember early companies were fun too. A lot more drinking. Yeah, definitely things that were said that, you don't want to say it in a larger company. I mean, it's just, you're right. It's a different time.
For sure. Yeah. I think that there's a video of it on our YouTube, the Trust Printshop YouTube. We got our ink mixer, and we like tried to sit on it and stay on it as long as we could. And then we upgraded to sitting on a 5-gallon bucket on the turnabout, and it was a lot of fun.
That's amazing. Did you take a lot of photos then?
I don't have a lot of photos. What
That's
year did
thing.
the first iPhone came out in like 2007.
Yeah, you're right.
And before that, like cell phone cameras, wouldn't really do much. So there's a big gap in my photo library where maybe I had the iPhone in 2007, but I don't know where those photos are. Where would they go?
Yeah.
Right? The Apple's like iPhoto.
There was no iCloud or something probably then either. I mean, that's one thing that I wish I would have done early company days is take a lot more pictures, because I think I may have 5 or 6, but you don't think that. But so if anyone's listening and, it's one person, you're just getting started, take a lot of photos because those are always so cool to look back at.
Yeah, I might have a couple. I'd have to really dig deep. But one thing that's really helped is Instagram. When I created the Trust Printshop Instagram in 2012, I can scroll all the way to the bottom of that feed and see some really cool stuff.
True.
So that's helped. Yeah, just a big gap between a photo that I do have of the very first print that I did. Was in my dad's garage, and I get the screen loaded on the press and the ink loaded and the screen's taped, and I'm about to print the shirt. And my dad was there, and he was like, wait. And he like runs off into the house, and he comes back out with his camera, and he's like, I want to get a picture of this. And I freaking love that picture. It's so meaningful to me. The photo of my first print. Yeah. So I have a photo
yeah, you should frame it. This is a fun trip down memory lane with we'll get to the exit part soon, but like with the real thread. But was there a point where Trust Printshop bent the trajectory a bit, right? Because I'm sure you're cruising along, kind of literally growing, doing your thing. Was there a point where it was, oh wow, this is a bit more different than it was last year?
Where it just felt different.
Yeah, like maybe it just bent the curve more. Like, sometimes maybe a certain marketing channel just works super well and drives a lot more sales than the normal. Sometimes it's, hey, we got the space that we finally needed to be able to produce the orders, to be able to grow as a business. We hired the right, but like there's certain those business bending points.
Yeah, I haven't heard that term. But yes, I mean, I feel pretty magical about the growth of trust.
Mm-hmm.
And, going back to every piece of equipment that we purchased, every, big step that we took, from screen making to automatic press to getting another machine to moving spaces. I was always naturally scared of taking those steps, right? Especially when the company was small, like those are big steps. But every time we did it, a few weeks, maybe a month after, we're looking back, we're saying to ourselves, like, there's no way that we could do what we're doing now had we not done that. And so
What's
it
an
was
example
like
of one?
moving from a 4,000 square foot shop to a 12,000 square foot shop.
That's a big jump.
Moving from outside of the city to inside of the city. It's almost like there was like a newsletter that went out to all of our customers, telling them what we're doing and that they need to order more or something like that. It was almost like somebody was telling somebody about what we're doing. At the time we weren't. And
that's when you moved
just
closer to the city.
That, and really just every big step that we took along the way. And I'm just really glad that it went that way. There wasn't a big decision that we made that didn't work out.
That's great. Was there something that you, looking back, would have wanted to buy sooner or upgrade sooner or, move into sooner?
I don't think so. One of the big ones was computer to screen.
Really? Which one did you buy?
In 2012, we bought the Kiwo iJet 2, and that was an expensive machine, and I spent maybe a year or two like thinking about it, and we finally got it. That was a really big growth period for us from our screen resolution. Interesting.
I would say 80 to 90% of people that I ask that question to say the exact same thing. Not necessarily the brand name and model and so on, but the exact same piece of equipment.
Yeah. I remember taking our big library of film and
to the
pallet jacking it down to the dumpster, and we romantically like throw it in. And we do have a photo of our film like filling up a dumpster. We would try to keep it, right? It was super expensive. We would try to keep it. And so we have this big library system, and was really happy to throw all that stuff away.
That's pretty cool. Through walking around in your shop, you spent your time, you built your own shop management software. You've got all these like little kind of, maybe they're like lean supply chain hack type improvements, the way that you've constructed things, as far as how the workflow goes in the business. Are you thinking about that stuff all the time? Is there a production manager or operations manager that's thinking about that stuff, that's always trying to improve little bits here and there?
I think for the most part, it's a collaborative effort. I'm always thinking about that stuff. I really love to think deep and work with my hands, really hands-on. I think every company, right, we're selling the same thing, and we're humans. You think that we would be kind of like similar or identical, but really the thing that makes every company different are the people that work at the company, and the decisions that they make and how they solve their problems. I got really lucky with the team, from first employing people in 2009 to the team that was here on the last day with me as the owner. Not sure really what to say about that, but or where to give the credit for that. But man,
was that from really, like, asking them a lot of stuff, like, hey, what do you guys think? How do we improve? Or did they just feel comfortable making changes or improvements, or bringing them up to you? Or
gotcha.
How was that structured?
Yeah, a couple key people that I would work really close with. Jeremy on the production side and Jesse on the creative and the marketing side. We worked really close together. It was kind of just like each day was like a hangout. We would bump into each other. We would try to find each other somewhere around the shop, and pitch an idea. And, it was a bit like a hangout. Some things would stick and some things wouldn't. And then, a week later I would see Jeremy, or later that day, I would see Jeremy with a table saw out, cutting boards and building something. It just depends on what it was, but really, I would attribute that to having a great team, and really collaborating with them, in really informal ways.
Do you think that was partially an interview process, or did friends bring in friends and that created a good team, or was it just churning through people over time until you had that right mesh?
So, coming from a rock band, from age 12, to really like 18, 19, 20, something like that. It was me and my friends creating something, and those were pretty formative years. So really the analogy that I used with building trust was, really wanting it to feel like a band. And, everyone has their parts and we're collaborating. And so the hiring process was very much like, hey, we're all overworked, right? We barely have time to even talk right now. Does anybody know anybody who can help? And a big fan of getting temp help, and trying them trying the job out. And then if both people are excited, then we'd move forward and hire them. That was the bulk of our hiring process, and building the team. And I think when it became less interesting to me is when things got more formal.
Because of the number of people, you needed more, people processy type stuff, HR type stuff.
Yeah, we would need a specific person. Stuff. Yeah. That's when, it just became less interesting to me.
Is that because it pulled you away from, like, would you say you're more passionate about, is it the supply chain aspect, or is it the actual printing aspect, or is it the art, or like, what was that? And was that what, the people stuff pulled you away from?
It's hard to say. I'm both very organized. Like I use a calendar and I map out, every 15-minute block of my day. And I'm doing that in real time. I'm organizing tomorrow, and the next week. And then also as today is taking shape, I'm organizing it in calendar events. So I'm both very organized, but also, I just love I love the freedom to explore. I guess what I'm saying is I like to be in control, to be organized, to go long or late on this one thing because I'm really, hitting a flow with it. And I like to know what I want to focus on tomorrow in a more structured way. And so I think that weird part of me, it's just a lot harder to fit into, a company this size from, when the company is demanding so much, from all sorts of things, right? The finance piece of the business, the HR piece of the business, the admin stuff, right? Just the various parts of the business that require a bit more structure, I think is where I kind of butted heads with it.
Interesting. So, yeah, over 20 years, growing to, let's call it 4 million or so, profitably, have a great brand name and recognition in the space. What over the last, like even more specifically, last couple of years, do you think created some of the feeling of the burnout? You talk about some of the people management stuff, which I know a lot of people can resonate, but, was it a lot more of your time having to be spent there? Or was it, I'm just not getting to do the stuff that I wanted to do before? Like, I'm just curious as to how did that feeling get created?
It was very slow over a long period of time. And it was very hard for me to talk about while I was in it. And it's still a little bit hard for me to talk about, not from like an emotional standpoint, but just from just trying to understand it. But the best way I think I could put it is, I felt like I was the right person for the first 15 years or so. Like any problem that came up, I could solve. Any problem that anybody had, I was ready for it. And then I just stopped feeling like the right person.
Is that because you didn't want to be the person to make the decision, or was it like,
I don't know.
Yeah. I definitely remember feeling somewhere where it's like, figure it out. Like, I don't want to have to make the like constant, micro decisions of stuff all day. And so and that's what makes me curious is like, was that something that you felt, or, it's just, these are not the decisions that I want to be thinking about.
Yeah. Still hard for me to really understand. I can talk about it in abstract ways.
Yeah.
That's like the easiest way for me to talk about it. I enjoy working with my brain and working with my hands.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I enjoy. That's what I feel good at. I feel like there are some people, who enjoy and are good at working with their brains and then working with their voice. And, I think having a team of 30, I was really like cornered into, kind of speaking into things. And so it was less working with my hands and more working with my voice. I think just wasn't satisfied.
Interesting. So pushing forward into connecting with Real Thread, was there a decision in your mind that said, look, this isn't working out, I think I'm going to sell the business, or did Real Thread approach you? Like, how did that happen?
It's a bit blurry. We've been friends for about 10 years. And we talked about kind of merging, about 10 years ago. Maybe it was 8 years ago. I love what they're doing. I love how they're doing it. We're similar, but also a yin yang. And then, 8 years goes by. Didn't really think much about it. But once I started to really uncover like understanding like where I was at and what I was going through. This is the great part is I'm not sure if I reached out to Drew or he reached out to me. It just kind of felt like a natural, we were talking, and then it just kind of came back up. And that was about a year ago. And it took me a year to really think about it. It took me a year of talking through it and thinking about it. And, you know, there's a lot to consider there.
How did you go through that process of like the year of, was it just like, should I do it? What am I going to do? What, like all the questions, or was it more tactical negotiating back and forth for a year, or what was in that time period?
A big consideration for me is who's going to value what is Trust Printshop and who's going to take care of the customers that we have and the team that we have in a way that, you know, I can stand behind and in a way where I can sleep at night. And that kind of, you know, brings me up, you know, all the way to the origin. I didn't really mean to start this company. You know, I was printing my band shirts and our friends' band shirts, and it just kind of grew from there. So with that said, I never felt like a business owner. You know, I didn't intentionally do it. I just found myself there and I did it. But I think I stayed the sole business owner for the 20 years because I wanted to protect it.
Interesting.
And once we had a team, even when the team was 5 people, I really wanted to protect it.
So in that year, what pushed you over the edge?
So we talk, it was early in the year. And, you know, I'm thinking about it. I'm sure he's thinking about it. And, really what pushed me over the edge was when we found out that my wife was pregnant. And we'd been trying for some time, and you know, at the point in our lives we're ready to be parents. And you know, I've sacrificed so much of myself building this company. Would work before work, would work at work, would work after work, would work on weekends.
Right. Well, you're not working, you're thinking about it.
Yeah, I was working in my sleep. You know, I really gave it my all, and I'm glad that I could, that I was young and in a spot to do that. And, you know, so once we found out that my wife was pregnant, you know, I wanted, Trust to be in a great spot and to be taken care of, but really felt like, okay, I'm going to focus on my family, and I've paid my dues. You know, I feel like I've worked the full 45 years of my career
right.
in a 20-year span.
Time.
I feel near retirement. And so I was kind of thinking about it like that, you know, I'm really tired. And both I wanted to go to the right person and right people. I want everyone to be taken care of, but also I'm ready to start my family and focus on that. And that's what I'm doing. And it's been great.
That's an interesting turning point, right? The like emotional side is what draws you forward. There's a lot of different ways to structure a deal like this, and you know, you don't have to get into details, but like it seems like the most common is some sort of you know, cash payment for, let's call it the value of the business, and maybe some sort of like split between that and like an earn out or like a seller financing type of deal where it goes over a couple of years and is paid. And then like, is that sort of similar to what you guys were thinking, or what you felt was best?
I'm not sure how to answer that question. It's more complicated than I would have liked for it to be, but I'm happy with how we were able to work it out.
Okay. Which I take too, like, sometimes earnouts are tied to maybe performance metrics. There's just like so many ways that these things can work out, but that's good that you feel comfortable about it. Like, how do you find your role now? What are you, work-wise, what are you spending time on? Is it still with Trust or?
Yeah. So last week was my first week back after leave.
How long did you take off?
It was about 3 months.
Wow. How'd that feel?
It felt great. It was the right amount of time. And if I could go back and change our maternity and paternity leave from 4 weeks to 3 months, I would do it, because that's how long it takes to really like get back to stable. Yeah.
Were you able to not be on the phone and not be in the Slack stuff and emails, or were you still sort of one foot in?
For the most part, I was out. We had our kid Charlie, golly, 16. No, it was a month. It was a full month after closing on the deal, and then I think I was here at the office for a couple weeks, and then had about 2 weeks before we actually had our kiddo. So we're able to get a lot done in that time, but also, didn't sell a screen printing company to a sign making company. I sold a screen printing company within a niche to another screen printing company in that same niche. So, we know them well, they know us well. And so it was able to translate relatively easily.
How do you talk to the team about this? Right. Cause, to not,
how did I tell them?
Well, and I think to create comfort as well, right? Because it is a little bit worrisome for a team. You don't want people to just dip out and quit, and keep things pretty stable operationally. Was there anything that you did to help with the messaging there?
I was really nervous to tell the team.
Yeah.
I think it was a shock to the team. Even though I had taken some time off of the last couple of years. I think it was a shock, but I think that they understood. I think that there was a lot of unknowns, and I think that that's just really natural being in that position. But one thing that I did was I just kept talking about it. We kind of on a weekly cycle. We'd have an all hands meeting the first half of Monday, and then the second half of Friday. Not the full half the day, but just a little 15-minute huddle sometime within those halves of the day. And I just kept talking about it, updating everybody. I was very transparent. I think within a few days of telling the team, the Real Thread leadership team came in and, met the whole team and introduced themselves, and, were able to kind of, create that relationship that is important for trust. And so we were really transparent from the announcement until the deal was done.
How do you think about your role then now? So is it very similar? I'm sure it feels different though, right? Because it's not your business anymore. So it's like, you're reporting up. You're reporting up to Drew now. So is your responsibility sort of the same? Do you care about it differently?
Yeah, all of the above, probably. It's very different. But honestly, I love the technical side of what we do. I love the people here. that I get to work with. And I really believe in the potential of the larger organization that's created with real thread acquiring trust. It opens up a lot of doors for me to do what I love to do and what I feel great at doing. So my title is Special Projects, and just kind of a couple projects at a time that I just get to really go deep in. Technically, go as deep as I want to, and surface that up to, the rest of the team to work with and make decisions on. So I'm 2 weeks in, but it's been
you're a new hire.
It's it's been a lot of fun.
That's cool. What do you like? Would you say that you're happy with the decisions that you made? Obviously, they're cemented, so it is what it is. But or is it still a little bit rocky? Which maybe that also takes time of getting settled into your new spot.
I'm gonna say somewhat like a bit of both, right? That's a big decision to make. I don't have any bit of seller's remorse. I'm happy with that decision. But I think it's natural to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And learn from it. Think about what you would do different. I think that part is natural. And I really don't spend much time thinking about that. I am really happy with the decision I made and how things are going.
That's cool. That's actually a good last question for me is just, other shop going through it, they maybe are feeling that, all right, I'm not as motivated with this anymore. I've spent a lot of time on it. Maybe looking to pivot, do something different, or bring someone in, or sell the company. What would you say to them? I know you're still early in the journey, but what would you say to them about that as to how to think through that decision and process?
I feel like I'm talking to a wide range of people and trying to answer this. I don't know if I could really talk to them all, but if I have time for a little tangent, maybe I'll just kind of riff off for a second.
All right, let's do it.
I feel like personally, I'm tired of people, trying to. I'm tired of people making money-oriented decisions, and passive income. You name it, right? Like the trend has been extra hot over the last decade. Just money-oriented decisions, maximizing revenue, minimizing cost, right? Like getting the most that they can. I just personally feel really tired of that. And even within the last year of being the owner of Trust, I kept going back and forth with staying on and trying to kind of rekindle something. What I do love is seeing a small company where the business owner loves doing what they're doing. There are a couple businesses come to mind where you just walk in and you can tell someone really cares about this place, right? Someone's not maximizing profits here. Someone really cares about this place. And I think we need more of that. So maybe to shortcut that line of thinking, I want to see people doing what they love. And if they got into the industry to make money, I just don't think we should be making money-oriented decisions. I just think it's too hard to do it for money. I think passion really has to be the driver there.
I agree with that. Although I do think people get into it for the love, but then that can change, and it's okay if that changes. Whereas it's interesting, right, from your perspective of the things that I needed to care about, I wasn't as passionate about as I was prior. Like, is that, you think, the time where it's like, okay, to start thinking about someone else to take this on that does care more about those things, the people management, the scaling, the bigger problems?
Could you rephrase that question?
Well, if you're talking to maybe it's even your younger self, like if you're looking at yourself in the mirror 2 years ago, which I think other shops are in this position as well, what would you say to yourself then that you now know?
I mean, if it feels right, then it's right. If it feels wrong, then, it's probably wrong, and it's time to face it. Just it's really hard. I don't know if it's just for me or everybody else, but to decide sometimes. And, I just want people to do what they love and to be happy. And I think that I don't think that there's any person or any job that's wrong. I think that there are combinations of people, just in a job that's wrong for them. And sometimes it really takes trying a couple things out to find what's for you. And I just really want people to find that. So if it doesn't matter what it is, it could be anything.
I like that. And I think that helps clarify. You're right. Like, there is a gut feeling there. Like, I'm just not either enjoying this, or I'm just spending way too much time here. I need to have better balance. I have a family that's starting. I need to figure out how I figure out what is most important here and allocate time accordingly. So I love it. Congratulations to you. And I, always appreciate you being able to share, opening your doors, Print Hustlers. Before you had so many people that are able to come in and ask you tons of questions for hours. So you've been great to be able to do that, and excited to see what you do in the future too.
Thank you. Yeah, me too.
All right, Print Hustlers, thanks so much for joining this awesome episode. It's Matt from Trust Printshop out of Fort Worth. Check out the shop tour. It's really cool. It'll be down in the link description down below, so you can take a look. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Have a good one. Thanks so much for listening. Hopefully that was informative. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to hit the bell for notifications if you enjoyed this video. If you enjoy all the stuff we're putting out, it's really helpful. We love to just be able to see it. That means that we're doing a good job. To subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and hit the like button. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.